Ram has just dropped a bombshell on the U.S. auto market, and it's sending shockwaves across the entire truck industry. We're talking about massive, unprecedented discounts, thousands off brand-new Ram 1500s, jaw-dropping lease deals, and price cuts no one saw coming. But why now? What's driving this sudden move? And how are Ford, Chevy, and Toyota reacting? This isn't just a sale. This is a war for survival. And it could change the future of American trucks forever. This isn't generosity, it's desperation. Ram's parent company, Stellantis, has been struggling to move trucks as consumer demand slows and interest in electric pickups remains lukewarm. Adding competition from a wave of discounted Ford F-150s, Silverado incentives, and even surprise price drops from Tesla's Cybertruck, and Ram had no choice but to fire back. This is about clearing 2024 inventory and keeping factories running. But it's also about holding on to market share before it's too late. Ram's move is putting serious pressure on Ford and GM. Dealers across the country are now scrambling to match or beat Ram's offers, sparking a full-blown price war in the full-size truck segment. Chevy just slashed thousands off Silverado trims. Ford is piling on hidden rebates through dealers. Even Toyota is now offering rare incentives on the Tundra. The U.S. truck market, once immune to discounting, is suddenly a battlefield. For you, the buyer, this is huge. If you've been waiting for the right time to buy a truck, this might be it. With dealers desperate to make sales, there's room to negotiate, stack incentives, and walk away with deals that would have been unthinkable just months ago. But be warned, this won't last forever. Inventory is expected to tighten later this year as production slows and more 2025 models roll out at higher prices. Strike while the iron's hot. This aggressive move could be a short-term win, but it raises a bigger question. Can Ram survive this transition? With the electric Ram REV still not in full swing, and the 2025 redesign facing mixed reactions, Ram is caught between trying to unload gas models and gearing up for an uncertain EV future. If they can't strike a balance, the brand's long-term position is in serious jeopardy. We spoke with dealers across the country, and the message is clear. They're shocked. Some say these discounts are the biggest since 2020 pandemic clearouts. Others are frustrated, claiming Ram is undercutting resale values and hurting brand perception. Still, many admit it's working. Traffic is up. Phones are ringing. Shoppers are flooding back into showrooms, hoping to score a deal before it vanishes. One Midwest dealer told us, "We went from silence to sold out of bighorn trims in under a week." That's how fast this is moving. Here's a twist. Used truck values are cratering. With brand new Ram 1500s now selling for what used trucks were going for just 6 months ago, the pre-owned market is taking a major hit. Trucks that were worth $40,000 are suddenly worth $35,000 or less. Auction prices are falling, trade-in values are shrinking, and dealers are being forced to reprice entire inventories overnight. This is especially painful for recent buyers. Many now find themselves underwater on their loans. Let's zoom out. Ram's move could signal a broader collapse in pricing power across the auto industry. We're entering a moment where the three giants, Ford, GM, and Stellantis, are all being forced to sacrifice profits just to move metal. Combine that with high interest rates, weakening consumer demand, and EV models that still aren't profitable, and we could be staring down an industry-wide reckoning. Ram might be the first to blink, but they won't be the last. Meanwhile, the long-awaited Ram REV electric truck is still nowhere to be found in significant numbers. Ford has the Lightning. Chevy is trickling out the Silverado EV. Even Tesla has something on the road. But Ram? Just promises and teasers. This delay is costing them dearly. While competitors are building EV mindshare, Ram is still pushing gas-powered workhorses at a time when political pressure and emission standards are closing in fast. Before you rush to the dealership, a quick warning. Not all deals are as sweet as they look. Some discounts require stacking multiple rebates, including trade-in bonuses, loyalty discounts, or financing through Stellantis Financial. And some of the lease offers have high down payments or mileage restrictions. So do your homework. Ask for the full out-the-door price. And don't be afraid to walk if the math doesn't add up. Remember, you have the power right now. This isn't just a financial story, it's a brand story. Ram was once the tough, bold, premium work truck. But with deep discounts flooding the market, is it losing its edge? Are buyers starting to see Ram as the value brand rather than the power player? It's a dangerous shift, and it echoes what happened to Dodge before Ram spun off. If this continues, Ram risks becoming a discount-first brand in a segment where image means everything. Here's something most people are missing. Ram's parent company, Stellantis, is European. And insiders say they're focusing more and more on building up their European EV footprint. Peugeot, Fiat, Citroën, and Opel are gobbling up resources. Is Ram being starved of investment to prop up the EU brands? Some industry analysts say yes. There's a growing fear that Ram is becoming an afterthought, used to grab quick cash through fire sale pricing while Stellantis shifts strategy overseas. If that's true, the long-term future of Ram in the U.S. is suddenly in doubt. Behind the scenes, UAW and auto worker unions are on edge. These discounts might signal lower production targets in the future, meaning fewer shifts, furloughs, or even factory closures. Don't forget, Ram production happens in key swing states like Michigan and Ohio. Politicians are watching. Workers are watching. If Stellantis uses these sales numbers to justify future layoffs, expect major backlash and maybe another strike. One reason Ram may be dumping inventory? Overbuilt supply chains. Post-COVID, automakers ramped up production, expecting a steady recovery. But interest rates, inflation, and EV confusion changed everything. Ram might now be sitting on thousands of trucks built with outdated tech or unpopular trims. Part suppliers are already sounding alarms. Cancellations, contract revisions, and lower volumes are coming. The ripple effect could hurt entire regions of the U.S. manufacturing economy. This might be the real story. For decades, the full-size truck has been the undisputed king of the American road, a symbol of power, freedom, toughness. But today, that image is cracking. High gas prices, insurance hikes, tightening emissions rules, urban congestion. More and more buyers are asking, do I really need a truck anymore? What Ram's doing may not just reflect a sales problem. It may be the start of a cultural shift. One strange twist, Stellantis isn't saying much. No major press release. No CEO statement. No, we're helping working Americans spin. The discounts were rolled out almost quietly through dealer networks and backdoor incentives. It raises the question, where are they hiding? Or are they simply hoping this gets them through the quarter without raising alarm bells on Wall Street? Behind the scenes, a deeper geopolitical and corporate strategy may be playing out, and Ram could be one of the first casualties. Stellantis, Ram's parent company, is a multinational conglomerate with European roots and ambitions that stretch far beyond American roads. With headquarters in Amsterdam and a strategic pivot toward dominating the European electric vehicle market, many analysts now believe Ram is being starved of investment in order to funnel resources toward brands like Peugeot, Citroën, Opel, and Fiat. These brands are receiving massive funding for EV production, platform development, and battery partnerships, while Ram, arguably the crown jewel of the U.S. truck market just a few years ago, is being left to rely on aging gas-powered platforms and desperate pricing tactics. The recently hyped Ram REV Electra pickup remains largely vaporware, while its European siblings are already rolling out next-gen EVs across the continent. Is Stellantis using Ram to generate short-term cash flow while the real focus shifts overseas? If so, American buyers, dealers, and factory workers could find themselves sidelined by a corporation whose heart and wallet may now lie closer to Paris than to Detroit. This pricing blitz might look like a win for consumers on the surface, but behind the curtain, labor unions are paying close attention, and not in a good way. The United Auto Workers, UAW, which represents thousands of Ram factory workers, is sounding alarms that these deep discounts signal potential production cuts down the line. And history backs that up. When automakers start aggressively dumping inventory, it often precedes shift reductions, furloughs, or outright plant closures. With key Ram facilities operating in politically sensitive and economically vulnerable regions like Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana, the consequences of a production pullback would ripple far beyond Stellantis itself. It could trigger a new wave of labor unrest, especially after last year's bruising contract negotiations and brief strikes. If Stellantis uses softening demand and excess inventory as an excuse to idle plants, don't be surprised if we see union protests, factory slowdowns, or even threats of political retaliation in the 2026 election cycle. Ram's discount war isn't just a pricing strategy. It may be a ticking time bomb for American workers. The auto supply chain is still limping from the chaos of the COVID pandemic and post-pandemic overcorrections. During the shortages of 2021 and 2022, Stellantis, like other automakers, rushed to secure parts, lock in contracts, and ramp up truck production in anticipation of continued high demand. But that demand never fully materialized. Now, Ram finds itself buried in inventory, much of it built with legacy components, outdated tech packages, or unpopular trim configurations. Dealership lots are crowded, logistics hubs are overflowing, and transport bottlenecks are making it harder to redistribute trucks to markets where they might still sell. At the same time, suppliers, especially Tier 2 and Tier 3 manufacturers, are caught in a no-man's land. Orders have slowed, contracts are being renegotiated, and factories are scaling back output. What we're seeing now with Ram is just one visible symptom of a wider systemic imbalance. The entire auto manufacturing and distribution network, optimized for pre-pandemic demand patterns, is now fundamentally out of sync with today's economic reality. For decades, full-size pickups weren't just vehicles. They were symbols of American identity. Owning a truck was about more than hauling plywood or towing a trailer. It was a lifestyle, a statement, a status symbol in suburbs and heartland towns alike. But fast forward to 2025, and that cultural dominance is starting to crack. Soaring fuel prices, skyrocketing insurance premiums, shrinking garages in urban housing, and a growing stigma around oversized vehicles in cities are all pushing younger buyers away from the traditional truck lifestyle. Add to that new emission standards, EV mandates, and political debates around climate and infrastructure, and trucks are increasingly seen as outdated or excessive by large swaths of the population. That doesn't mean truck culture is dead, but it's being challenged in ways it hasn't been in decades. Ram slashing prices might not just be a financial maneuver. It may be a desperate attempt to keep a cultural icon relevant in a country where consumer values and economic pressures are rapidly changing. Ram's decision to slash prices has blindsided existing owners, especially those who purchased trucks in the last 12 to 18 months at full MSRP or even over sticker. These buyers now find that their once prized $60,000 trucks have lost $10,000 to $15,000 in resale value practically overnight. For many, trading quotes have dropped so drastically that they now owe more on their loan than the truck is worth, a situation known as being upside down. This is triggering a wave of frustration across truck forums, dealership review pages, and YouTube comment sections. Some owners are accusing Stellantis of devaluing their investments, while others are exploring legal options or considering walking away from their loans entirely. This kind of rapid depreciation destroys brand trust and customer loyalty, turning enthusiastic repeat buyers into disgruntled former fans. And once word spreads that buying a Ram means instant value loss, future buyers may start to look elsewhere, creating a dangerous downward spiral for the brand's long-term reputation. One of the most surprising elements of this bombshell is the complete silence from Stellantis corporate. No flashy ad campaign, no heartfelt CEO interview, no patriotic messaging about helping hardworking Americans. Instead, the discounts were rolled out through dealer channels quietly, with little fanfare. For such a massive pricing move, one that could redefine the brand's market position, the lack of communication is deafening. It raises eyebrows. What is Stellantis hiding? Are they embarrassed by the need to discount? Or is this part of a calculated attempt to avoid scaring investors, many of whom watch U.S. truck sales as a core performance metric? The lack of a narrative allows others, the media, analysts, even YouTubers like you, to shape the story, and that's risky. In a world where perception drives market behavior, Stellantis' silence could turn a strategic sale into a PR disaster, especially if the public interprets it as panic instead of planning. Let's flip the narrative. What if Ram's aggressive price cuts aren't a sign of weakness, but a bold act of market domination? By gutting prices, Ram may be executing a high-risk, high-reward strategy to undercut competitors, force Ford and GM to burn their margins, and seize market share in a flatlining economy. This tactic isn't new. Toyota did something similar in the early 2000s to gain U.S. sedan dominance, and Tesla used pricing cuts in 2023 to 24 to shake up the EV market. If Ram can clear out aging inventory, win back price-sensitive buyers, and reset its value perception before rolling out next-gen models in 2026, this could actually be a genius long-term play. But it will only work if Stellantis follows through with innovation, EV execution, and dealer support in the next 18 months. Otherwise, this price war could become a Pyrrhic victory, where short-term volume comes at the cost of brand destruction. The next few quarters will determine whether this was a meltdown or a masterstroke. While Ram sticker prices may be falling fast, the truth is that most buyers don't pay cash, they finance. And right now, that's where many shoppers are still getting crushed. Even with 0% APR offers on select trims, most advertised deals come with fine print. You need perfect credit, a big down payment, or you'll be locked in a 6 to 8% interest through third-party lenders. For a $50,000 truck, that can mean thousands in interest over the loan's lifetime, wiping out the discount entirely. And because Ram is trying to push volume, many dealers are quietly marking up finance packages or slipping in add-ons like extended warranties or protection plans. So while the discount looks amazing up front, the monthly payment may still feel like 2023. In short, this is a price drop hiding in a payment trap, and buyers need to be more alert than ever. This isn't just a discount campaign. It's the latest chapter in a decades-long turf war between Ram, Ford, and GM. Since the early 2000s, these three have battled for dominance in America's most lucrative segment, full-size pickups. Ford's F-150 has been the king, Silverado the workhorse, and Ram the underdog turned disruptor. Ram shocked the market in the 2010s with its luxury interiors and smooth ride, stealing market share from Ford and Chevy. But now, with sales softening across the board, all three giants are reaching for the price lever. The difference? Ram pulled it hardest and first. That move has now triggered a classic market squeeze. Ford and GM have two choices: match Ram's pricing and bleed margin, or hold the line and risk losing customers. It's a dangerous game of chicken, and whoever blinks next may pay the price in more ways than one. Ram's announcement comes at a confusing crossroads for truck buyers. The Ram REV electric truck is still being hyped, but its rollout is delayed and unclear. Meanwhile, Ford's F-150 Lightning has seen price hikes and scaling issues, and Chevy's Silverado EV is limited in availability. That leaves buyers wondering, should I wait for the electric future, or just grab a gas-powered deal now? Stellantis isn't helping by keeping its EV strategy vague. Instead of committing to clear timelines or specs, they're hedging between old-school muscle and high-tech innovation. This indecision creates market confusion and buyer hesitation. Ironically, Ram's discounts might convince some people to stay in the gas-powered camp, slowing EV adoption further. Others might sit out altogether, waiting for clarity that may not come until 2026. Either way, Ram's positioning in the EV transition is uncertain and risky. While deep discounts may seem like a blessing for struggling dealers, many are calling them a double-edged sword. Sure, more foot traffic is flowing into showrooms, but that doesn't always translate into strong profits. Why? Because manufacturers, like Stellantis, often don't fully reimburse dealers for losses tied to slashed MSRPs. That means dealerships must scramble to meet factory quotas with shrinking margins and increased pressure to upsell financing or accessories. Some dealers are even being penalized with fewer allocations if they can't move metal fast enough. Others are finding that buyers who rushed in for discounts are haggling harder than ever, expecting huge value for every dollar. Internally, morale is low, especially among sales teams who now feel like they're peddling distressed goods, not premium products. One insider put it bluntly, "Ram gave us volume, but no runway." It might sound far-fetched, but truck discounts can carry political consequences. Full-size pickups are deeply tied to American culture, especially in swing states and rural regions. When Ram slashes prices and puts thousands of dollars back in buyers' pockets, that creates economic ripple effects in counties that matter politically. And if Stellantis ends up closing plants or cutting jobs in places like Michigan or Ohio to protect European investments, don't be surprised if truck manufacturing becomes a hot-button issue in the 2026 election. Political candidates on both sides could seize this narrative, one side championing American-made jobs and calling out foreign CEOs, the other pushing green energy and pointing to the failure of gas-powered inventory management. Ram's discount spree could unintentionally spark a culture war over the future of American manufacturing.